Okay, let's move on. Let's go position by position because I think it's a little bit easier. Let's start with the jack spot. So the guys I have profiling there, Garmin Randolph, Matt Jones, I think are going to get a lot of time. I also think Jackie Marshall and Tony Nyanwu will contribute there as well. It's a deep group, but I do think Garmin is going to be the starter there. That's my hunch.
Yeah, and I don't think Matt Jones is a jack anymore. If you look at Baylor strength and conditioning things where they're posting the boards, he's been listed as linebacker, and they have a specific spot for Jack. And I know there's been these quotes from Aranda this offseason saying that they want him to replace Terrell Bernard. I'm still skeptical. I'm skeptical in the sense of we haven't seen how it would work yet, and it's still projection at this point. Can Matt Jones play inside linebacker, like on an every down basis, plugging the run, doing all the complicated things that they need to do? So I guess I'll talk about that with him.
I think he can, but I think probably at Mike better than Will.
It's projection. But talking about the guys at Jack, I think Garmin is just very clearly like he was a big project out of high school. He was like 6'7", 220 when he got to Baylor, and now he's like 6'7", 260 or so. And his thing is he can drop in pass coverage and he can rush the passer, but can he set the edge against the run? He's never going to be amazing at it just with his frame, but he's gotten better and better and better. And I think he's very clearly the starter. And, he's a guy that doesn't get a lot of press, and I forget about him sometimes too, but I mean, he has serious NFL potential if he puts it all together.
Yeah, he does.
Teams are really looking for guys that do what he can do and be versatile. So I think it's a big year for him to show that he can be tough on the edge because we know he can rush the passer and we know that he can drop in coverage.
And he's going to get so many one-on-one opportunities rushing the passer that I think it's critical. Whoever does start there can actually impact the game as a pass rusher. I know you need him to set the edge, but if he's getting, 7-8 sacks this year, you can't take him off field.
Yeah, exactly. I think if he's set up for a big year, and then I think, it's probably, other than corner, I think this might be the deepest position on the team when you just kind of look at the freakiest athletes and where they land. Tony Nyanwu and Jackie Marshall are probably the next guys up in line, and they're both freaky in their own ways. Tony's more of a set the edge pass rusher guy. Well, actually, both of them are pretty much that way too, but they just do it in a lot different bodies. Yeah. Although both are kind of short and stout, but Jackie's like 275.
Jackie's gonna set the edge.
Yeah, exactly. His high school tape is hilarious. He just throws guys down with his hands. Really strong, violent hands. So anyway, I mean, I think this kind of ties into maybe a discussion for next year as far as what they do with their defensive front next year. I think next year might set up for them very well with all the depth they have at this position to play with multiple jacks on the field at the same time. But this year, I think it's going to be the Garmin Randolph show, mixing in some Jackie Marshall and Tony Nyanwu on base downs. And then on passing downs is where we get to see Bryson Jackson do his thing. Right. And I also think he is somewhat under-discussed in the sense of probably because we know exactly what we're going to get, but great pass rushers in college football are very rare. Yeah. It's a tough skill.
And he can pass rush from multiple positions, which is freaky. He'll come in and play Will and rush the pass from there, and then he'll come in on the edge and rush the pass, and you're like, oh my gosh, where's this guy coming from?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the guys that can bend the way that he does and guys that can kind of explode and have the natural instincts of how to get to the quarterback are rare. And, they played him at inside linebacker some this spring, and I think it was just kind of like, well, he doesn't need any more practice rushing the passer. Yeah. I didn't think he looked very good at inside linebacker, which has kind of been his toughness the whole time. It's where he slots, but I think Aranda finally found a position for him, which is hey, it's 3rd and 7. You're coming in, get after the quarterback. And like we've talked about, you're going to have all these other defensive linemen lined up next to you. You're going to get a 1v1 opportunity, and he's going to make it happen.
He's going to feast.
Yeah. I think he could lead the team in sacks this year despite only playing 20 or 30% of snaps.
Yeah. And, Gabe Hall, but second. Maybe.
Okay.
Second on the team.
I'll be very happy if it's Gabe.
Yeah, and Garmin's going to be in there too.